Hi, welcome to Trading with TK, teaching you to turn ideas into money. This is our weekend question and answer period, and I put a wanted ad out asking for some questions and some topics for this weekend, and the response was overwhelming. I got so many good questions, I just can't answer all of them on the weekend, but I'm going to put them in my little bank, and I probably will use them in a week or two to come. And if I don't, I will at least respond to you individually in an email to try and answer your questions. But the one topic that popped up many times from a lot of different of my readers, I'm not even going to mention all of them, was this new hot topic about these naked shorts that Congress is going to try to eliminate from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and maybe some of the other financial stocks. Let me tell you, the hypocrisy coming out of this Congress is just mind-boggling. They're messing around with capitalism. It's favoritism, because you need to understand, you need to know the history of what's going on. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae are two government-sponsored businesses that were created many years ago, 25 years ago, to help with the mortgage business. It is run by every ex-congressman who never got re-elected, senator, their brothers, their sisters, their cousins, their aunts, their uncles. That's who's running this business. And you know, back when Tyco had the accounting scandal, and Enron and a bunch of other companies had these accounting scandals, and these guys went to jail. Well, Fannie Mae had an accounting scandal also, and it got pushed under the rug. Nothing happened to any of these guys. And that was a couple of years ago. That's when the first flag went up. But did our banking committee in Congress oversee that there was a problem? No. Now all of a sudden they're on the verge of bankruptcy, and it's a catastrophe that now Congress is going to run out and protect their own. The hypocrisy is frightening here. And what they're proposing to do is they are proposing not to let hedge funds or individual guys like you and I, unless you are a broker-dealer, meaning the specialist on the floor of the exchange, or anyone who is a registered broker-dealer, you need to be registered, can't short the stock. Now, the specialist needs to be able to sell the stock short, because in his course of running the market, he has to sell short from time to time. So they can't not allow him to do it, and they can't not allow the option guys not to be able to sell short, because when they're selling you a put, they need to cover their butt. They can't be naked. They need to get the other side. They don't want the risk. So naked means not covered by something. When we sell short, I don't believe it has anything to do with the ability to borrow the stock. You may be able to borrow the stock, but they still don't want you to sell it short, because their buddies are getting hurt. Why they're always blaming the speculators is mind-boggling to me. They blame the speculators in the oil market. They didn't blame themselves for not allowing drilling for the last 20 years. It's the speculators. Well, once again, it's the speculators' fault that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are on the verge of bankruptcy. It's just mind-boggling. Anyway, let's go back and understand the history of short selling. It starts back in the crash of 29. Back in 29, you could sell short on minus ticks, meaning you didn't need an uptick. You could hit a bid, hit a bid, hit a bid, and drive the stock down. Then after the crash, they took a look at it and they said, all right, we're not going to disallow short selling, because it's capitalism at its best, and it has a function within the marketplace. It's all about supply and demand. You have to buy those shares back. When you sell short, you are a potential buyer. There's an old saying, he who sells what isn't his'n must buy them back or go to prison. And if you don't buy them back on your own, you get a buy-in, what's called a buy-in. It's basically the opposite, what's the same as a margin call. If you have too much stock and you don't have enough money up and the stock's going down, they sell you out. Well, if you're short and the stock keeps going higher and you don't deliver the stock, they buy you in. That's basically what happens. So In 29, they said, well, we're not going to allow you to sell on minus ticks. You have to have a plus tick. Someone has to come into the marketplace and actually pay up from the last sale in order for you to sell short. It's a good rule. It worked for so many years. All of a sudden, Congress, 6 months or a year ago, they decided they're going to change that rule. Now, before this happened, the chairman, the president of Overstock.com, his name is Kevin Byrne. His stock was getting murdered with short sellers. It had one of the highest short selling ratios on the street because they were in trouble. The business wasn't going good. These hedge funds smell blood. They jump all over. They're looking to make money. And he was crybabying all over the country about the short selling rules, and they shouldn't be allowed. And he went to Congress and he went on TV, and it all fell on deaf ears because they didn't care about him. So he had to walk away. The way to change it was make the business better. Well, 6 months ago they changed the rule. Not only did they not help him out with limiting the short selling, they made it easier to sell short. They eliminated the uptick rule. I couldn't believe it. I almost fell over when I heard they changed that. You could now sell short on minus ticks if you wanted to. But if your broker that you were dealing through didn't have the stock in his inventory where you could actually borrow it from him, you weren't allowed to sell it short because you weren't allowed to borrow it. So they made it a little bit more difficult to actually borrow the stock, but they made it very easy to actually execute the order. So I couldn't believe they changed that uptick rule. Kevin Byrne must have gone nuts when he heard that. So anyway, that rule went on, and okay, it was great. You could bang a bid and get short, and I loved it as a trader. Worked great. Didn't seem to have too much of an effect on the market. Now all of a sudden, their buddies from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who have not only had accounting scandals a year and a half ago, have now run the business into the ground, where they're on the verge of bankruptcy. And now the government has to step in and save them. And once again, Congress is blaming the speculators. Unbelievable. So now they're not going to allow you to sell the stock short unless you are a broker-dealer or you have, let's say you own the stock in an investment account that you're holding on to for capital gains reasons. You can sell against the box as long as you already own it. If you own the equivalent of the stock through an option or you have it in your investment account, you can then sell the stock short because then you're not naked. But if you sell it short normally, like we normally do, that's what they're referring to as a naked short. There's nothing on the other side. Well, we've been doing it for hundreds of years. All of a sudden you can't do it in Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac because they're trying to save their own. That's how I see it. Anyway, I hope that explains this rule that they're trying to change. They haven't changed it yet. I think they're going to run into a lot of opposition, but we'll see. Okay, I don't have any more time for any more questions. I hope this answers your question. Give me some feedback. Until Monday, one more thing. I got some questions about how sure I am that this is going to be a bottom. Well, I'm as sure as I've ever been. And one thing I forgot to mention the other day is, I've always said, fear at the bottom of a market, greed at the top. Well, there was so much fear around last week, it was a clear sign we're at close to a bottom. So that's one more of my indicators that says the bottom is in for a while. The fear was, we thought all the banks were going to go broke. That's how fearful everything was. So that's another ingredient that falls into place. Until Monday, TK signing off.